Welcome to Lotus Happiness, the sanctuary of enlightenment to awaken the Buddha within you. Today, we are going to learn from Nichiren, a 13th-century Japanese monk, from a letter he had written to his follower, that is, on attaining Buddhahood in this lifetime. Let's understand about the background of this Gosho. This letter was written to Toki Jonin in the 7th year of Kensho, 1255, 2 years after Nichiren Daishonin established his teaching of Nam-myoho Renge-kyo. At the time of this letter, the Daishonin was 34 years old and was living in Kamakura, the seat of the military government. Toki was a staunch follower of the Daishonin who lived in Wakamiya in Shimosa province. He received some 30 letters, including letter from Sado and one of the major treatises, The Object of Devotion for Observing the Mind. A retainer of Lord Chiba, the constable of Shimosa, Toki had become a follower of the Daishonin around 1254. Of all his writings from the mid-1250s, on attaining Buddhahood in this lifetime focuses most clearly on the tenets of the Daishonin's Buddhism. Many of the other works of this period are aimed chiefly at refuting the erroneous doctrines of other schools and discussing theoretical questions. This short essay not only reflects the theories Tendai formulated based on the Lotus Sutra, but also reveals the concrete practice for attaining Buddhahood, namely, chanting Nam-myoho Renge-kyo, that is missing in Tendai's theoretical framework. Myoho Renge-kyo is the title of the Lotus Sutra, but to the Daishonin it is much more. It is the essence of the sutra, the revelation of the supreme law itself. Apparent in this work are both the depth of his thought and his conviction that Nam-myoho Renge-kyo is the only teaching that can lead people to Buddhahood in this lifetime. Here is the complete Gosho, on attaining Buddhahood in this lifetime. If you wish to free yourself from the sufferings of birth and death you have endured since time without beginning and to attain without fail unsurpassed enlightenment in this lifetime, you must perceive the mystic truth that is originally inherent in all living beings. This truth is Myoho Renge-kyo. Chanting Myoho Renge-kyo will therefore enable you to grasp the mystic truth innate in all life. The Lotus Sutra is the king of sutras, true and correct in both word and principle. Its words are the ultimate reality, and this reality is the mystic law, Myoho. It is called the mystic law because it reveals the principle of the mutually inclusive relationship of a single moment of life and all phenomena. That is why this sutra is the wisdom of all Buddhas. Life at each moment encompasses the body and mind and the self and environment of all sentient beings in the 10 worlds as well as all insentient beings in the 3,000 realms, including plants, sky, earth, and even the minutest particles of dust. Life at each moment permeates the entire realm of phenomena and is revealed in all phenomena. To be awakened to this principle is itself the mutually inclusive relationship of life at each moment and all phenomena. Nevertheless, even though you chant and believe in Myoho Renge-kyo, if you think the law is outside yourself, you are embracing not the mystic law but an inferior teaching. Inferior teaching means those other than this sutra, which are all expedient and provisional. No expedient or provisional teaching leads directly to enlightenment, and without the direct path to enlightenment you cannot attain Buddhahood, even if you practice lifetime after lifetime for countless kalpas. Attaining Buddhahood in this lifetime is then impossible. Therefore, when you chant Myoho and recite Renge, you must summon up deep faith that Myoho Renge-kyo is your life itself. You must never think that any of the 80,000 sacred teachings of Shakyamuni Buddha's lifetime or any of the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas of the 10 directions and 3 existences are outside yourself. Your practice of the Buddhist teachings will not relieve you of the sufferings of birth and death in the least unless you perceive the true nature of your life. If you seek enlightenment outside yourself, then your performing even 10,000 practices and 10,000 good deeds will be in vain. It is like the case of a poor man who spends night and day counting his neighbor's wealth but gains not even half a coin. That is why the Tendai school's commentary states, unless one perceives the nature of one's life, one cannot eradicate one's grave offenses. This passage implies that, unless one perceives the nature of one's life, one's practice will become an endless, painful austerity. Therefore, such students of Buddhism are condemned as non-Buddhist. Great Concentration and Insight states that, although they study Buddhism, their views are no different from those of non-Buddhists. Whether you chant the Buddha's name, recite the sutra, or merely offer flowers and incense, all your virtuous acts will implant benefits and roots of goodness in your life. With this conviction you should strive in faith. The Vimalakirti Sutra states that, when one seeks the Buddha's emancipation in the minds of ordinary beings, one finds that ordinary beings are the entities of enlightenment, and that the sufferings of birth and death are nirvana. It also states that, if the minds of living beings are impure, their land is also impure, but if their minds are pure, so is their land. There are not two lands, pure or impure in themselves. The difference lies solely in the good or evil of our minds. It is the same with a Buddha and an ordinary being. When deluded, one is called an ordinary being, but when enlightened, one is called a Buddha. This is similar to a tarnished mirror that will shine like a jewel when polished. A mind now clouded by the illusions of the innate darkness of life is like a tarnished mirror, but when polished, it is sure to become like a clear mirror, reflecting the essential nature of phenomena and the true aspect of reality. Arouse deep faith, and diligently polish your mirror day and night. How should you polish it? Only by chanting Na-myoho Renge Kyo. What then does Myo signify? It is simply the mysterious nature of our life from moment to moment, which the mind cannot comprehend or words express. When we look into our own mind at any moment, we perceive neither color nor form to verify that it exists. Yet we still cannot say it does not exist, for many differing thoughts continually occur. The mind cannot be considered either to exist or not to exist. Life is indeed an elusive reality that transcends both the words and concepts of existence and non-existence. It is neither existence nor non-existence, yet exhibits the qualities of both. It is the mystic entity of the middle way that is the ultimate reality. Myo is the name given to the mystic nature of life, and Ho, to its manifestations. Renge, which means lotus flower, is used to symbolize the wonder of this law. If we understand that our life at this moment is Myo, then we will also understand that our life at other moments is the mystic law. This realization is the mystic Kyo, or Sutra. The Lotus Sutra is the king of sutras, the direct path to enlightenment, for it explains that the entity of our life, which manifests either good or evil at each moment, is in fact the entity of the mystic law. If you chant Myoho Renge Kyo with deep faith in this principle, you are certain to attain Buddhahood in this lifetime. That is why the sutra states, after I have passed into extinction, one should accept and uphold this sutra. Such a person assuredly and without doubt will attain the Buddha way. Never doubt in the slightest. Respectfully. Maintain your faith and attain Buddhahood in this lifetime. Na-myoho Renge Kyo, Na-myoho Renge Kyo. Now let's proceed to the Gosho analysis. To understand this entire statement, if you wish to free yourself from the sufferings of birth and death, all the way to this truth is Myoho Renge Kyo. Nichiren explains the reasons for the practice: first, to escape from rebirths in samsara; second, to attain Buddhahood. This is aligned with the teaching of Four Noble Truths and the Eightfold Path as taught by Shakyamuni Buddha, who is skilled in employing expedient means to teach according to the capacities and desires of different people. In contrast, Nichiren discards the expedient means. He guides people to awaken the Buddha nature by chanting the Daimoku so as to embody enlightenment in this lifetime. Next, let's explore about the idea of attaining Buddhahood in this lifetime. Do you know that the Lotus Sutra doesn't teach about attaining Buddhahood in one lifetime? One can attain Buddhahood quickly, but not in one lifetime. In fact, the concept of attaining Buddhahood in a single lifetime is a concept of esoteric Buddhism. Nichiren was the disciple of Master Saicho, who traveled to China to learn about Tendai Buddhism and became the founder of Tendai Buddhism in Japan. Tendai Buddhism has significant amounts of esoteric teachings, one of which is the concept of attaining Buddhahood in this lifetime. Nichiren teaches the mystic truth as Myoho Renge Kyo, the title of the Lotus Sutra. This mystic truth essentially means the Buddha nature, the nature of original enlightenment inherent in all living beings. Buddhism is a teaching of empowerment. The Buddha guides us to perceive our true self, that's our Buddha nature within. In spite of all the human flaws, from a fundamental perspective, we are all pure and perfect. We are all Buddhas. If you wish to understand more about the Buddha nature, read the Mahayana Mahaparinirvana Sutra, Chapter 27, Bodhisattva Lion's Roar, 1 of 11. The Lotus Sutra is the king of all sutras because it teaches that all living beings can attain enlightenment by awakening their Buddha nature within. Here is the quote from Chapter 23 of the Lotus Sutra. Among all Shravakas and Prayika Buddhas, Bodhisattvas are the foremost. So is the Lotus Sutra, among all sutras, it is the foremost. Just as the Buddha is the Dharma king, so is the Lotus Sutra, it is the king of all sutras. There are many methods to awaken the Buddha within us. Chanting the Daimoku is not the only method. Master Zi, the fourth patriarch of Tiantai Buddhism in China, taught two types of meditation methods, vipassana, insight, and samadhi, concentration. He also delineated the nature of the mind through the concept of Ichinen Sanzen, also known as 3,000 realms in a single moment of life, in his work, Great Concentration and Insight. The concept of Ichinen Sanzen can be understood in a simpler form, which is the power of now, mindfulness of the present moment. Hence, practicing mindfulness to understand the nature of your mind and cultivate them will help to eliminate negative habitual tendencies. Our minds contain the full spectrum of states in the 10 worlds, ranging from hell, hungry spirits, animals, asuras, human beings, heavenly beings, which are the 6 lower paths, to the 4 noble worlds of Shravakas, Prayika Buddhas, Bodhisattvas and Buddhas. The awareness of the 10 worlds, the 10 states of our minds, enables us to focus on maximizing our greatest potential in the state of Buddhahood. Nichiren says, if you think the law is outside yourself, you are embracing not the mystic law but an inferior teaching. This means the real Buddha is inside you. The key to the Dharma practice is to embody the Buddha nature every moment of our life. You need to feel it, live it, and embody it with your entire being. Learn to be mindful and aware of how it feels and you are connected with the Buddha nature within. Do you feel a sense of loving compassion radiating from your heart? Do you feel a mindful awareness and a deep sense of insight and gratitude? These are the states of enlightenment. Tibetan Buddhism teaches the unification of expedient method and true wisdom through mantra, mudra, and meditation. Master Zi expounds the expedient methods, which is found in Chapter 2 of the Lotus Sutra, and the essential wisdom, Chapter 16. By chanting the Daimoku, Nichiren practitioners achieve oneness of the method and wisdom in the daily practice. Attaining Buddhahood is not a destination to be achieved, but a journey of embodiment within this human body, in this present lifetime, at this present moment. Tendai's theory of Hongaku, original enlightenment, holds that enlightenment is intrinsic in all things. All sentient beings and all phenomena that include the inanimate objects are all Buddhas. In short, enlightenment is innate in all phenomena, just as it is. As this concept is difficult to perceive, we need to have deep faith that Myoho Renge Kyo is your life, the true Buddha is inside of us. Your practice of the Buddhist teachings will not relieve you of the sufferings of birth and death in the least unless you perceive the true nature of your life. This means that chanting the Daimoku will not change the impermanent nature of life. Everyone will experience the cycles of birth, aging, illness and death, regardless of whether we chant the Daimoku. Having a heart to embrace the transient nature of life is critical. While it is good to overcome financial, health, or relationship issues, ultimately, we need to accept the fact that whatever good or bad things we experience in life, all these will end at the point of death. It is the good deed of practicing the Dharma and chanting the Daimoku that will stay with us for lifetime after lifetime. Let's always remember that the true purpose of our lives is to aspire for enlightenment, develop our minds through the various Buddhist practices, and propagate the Dharma for the peace and happiness of all. Unless one perceives the nature of one's life, one cannot eradicate one's grave offenses. This means we need to accept the two aspects of our true natures. 1. The true nature of suffering, impermanence, and non-self as a human being. 2. The true nature of our Buddha nature having the characteristics of eternity, bliss, true self and purity. Do you notice that these true natures are the opposite of each other? Nichiren recognizes that one will accumulate virtues by chanting the Buddha's name, such as Shakyamuni Buddha, Medicine Buddha, or Amitabha Buddha. Beyond the chanting of mantra and reciting of sutras, you will accumulate merits through generosity, patience and wisdom. If you just chant but do not take any actions to improve yourselves, will you be able to achieve your goals? Definitely not. In the Kali Sutta, the Buddha teaches, "He who sees Dhamma sees me, he who sees me sees Dhamma." Truly seeing Dhamma, one sees me, seeing me one sees Dhamma. As the saying goes, all roads lead to Rome. Essentially, there is no difference between chanting the Buddha's name or chanting the Daimoku. While the methods are different, the destination of Buddhahood is the same. This is a powerful quote: there are not two lands, pure or impure in themselves. The difference lies solely in the good or evil of our minds. Cultivation of the mind is the essence of Buddhist practice. Be it meditation or chanting, the practices are meant to develop our minds and wisdom. Here is the quote from Vimalakirti Sutra, Chapter 1, Buddhaland. Therefore, Ratnakara, if a bodhisattva wishes to acquire a pure land, he must purify his mind. When the mind is pure, the Buddha land will be pure. Dhammapada verse 1 and 2 state: all mental phenomena have mind as their forerunner, they have mind as their chief, they are mind-made. If one speaks or acts with an evil mind, suffering follows him just as the wheel follows the hoofprint of the ox that draws the cart. All mental phenomena have mind as their forerunner, they have mind as their chief, they are mind-made. If one speaks or acts with a pure mind, happiness follows him like a shadow that never leaves him. Nichiren teaches that, when deluded, one is called an ordinary being, but when enlightened, one is called a Buddha. If one is still blinded by the false view of sacrificial redemption of sins to appease a divine creator, one is an ordinary person. If one is awakened to the Buddha nature inherent in all living beings, and practices diligently to develop the mind, one is a Buddha. Daisaku Ikeda says, the power of Daimoku is invincible. Through Daimoku, there is no situation we cannot change, no obstacle we cannot surmount, no battle in Kosen Rofu or in daily life we cannot win. As long as we possess strong faith, we can, at every moment, turn whatever we are into a land of tranquil light. Vimalakirti Sutra states: a mind that aspires to enlightenment is the pure land of the Bodhisattva. When he attains Buddhahood, beings dedicated to the great vehicle will be born in his country. What then does Myo signify? It is simply the mysterious nature of our life from moment to moment, which the mind cannot comprehend or words express. The quality of our lives is determined by the quality of our minds. Avatamsaka Sutra, Chapter 11, states: there is no difference between these three, the mind, the Buddha, and the living beings. Essentially, the mind is the Buddha land. The purpose of Buddhism is to cultivate the mind to abide in the state of enlightenment. Dan Harris shares his experiences of how to tame the monkey mind through meditation. To truly tame the monkey mind and defeat our habitual tendency toward clinging, meditation was the prescription. Sitting and actively facing the voice in your head mindfully for a few minutes a day might be the hardest thing you'll ever do. Accept that challenge and improve your life drastically. Mahayana Mahaparinirvana Sutra, Chapter 28, Bodhisattva Lion's Roar, 2 of 11, states: the right cause is the Buddha nature, and that the condition is the mind that aspires to Bodhi, that by two causes one attains unsurpassed Bodhi, as in the case of a stone from which gold comes forth. Chapter 27 of Mahayana Mahaparinirvana Sutra says: the 12 links of dependent origination is known as the Buddha nature. The Buddha nature is the first meaning of unsurpassed emptiness. The first meaning of unsurpassed emptiness is the middle path. The middle path is the Buddha. The Buddha is nirvana. In short, the entire Buddha wisdom is encapsulated within three keywords: first, sunyata; second, dependent origination; and third, nirvana. These three wisdom is expressed metaphorically in Chapter 11 of the Lotus Sutra when the seven-jeweled pagoda emerges from the earth and suspends in midair. Inside the pagoda is the twin Buddhas of Shakyamuni Buddha and abundant treasures Tathagata. What is the mystic law? Nichiren teaches that the mystic law is Myoho Renge Kyo, the title of the Lotus Sutra. But what exactly is Myoho Renge Kyo? The Buddha introduces a keyword in Chapter 2, Expedient Methods of the Lotus Sutra. The keyword is the one vehicle, which is repeated 7 times. However, the Lotus Sutra does not elucidate what is the one vehicle. The meaning of the one vehicle is explicitly expounded in Mahaparinirvana Sutra, Chapter 27, the one vehicle is the Buddha nature. In short, Nam-myoho Renge Kyo is the Buddha nature, the expression of the power of wisdom, loving compassion, courage, mindfulness, and samadhi. Daisaku Ikeda teaches that, no matter how difficult the challenges we face, we will remain undefeated if we powerfully bring forth our inner Buddhahood through chanting Nam-myoho Renge Kyo. We can transform lives of despair over our fate into joyful lives of mission in which we encourage and help others. Nichiren says, if you chant Myoho Renge Kyo with deep faith in this principle, you are certain to attain Buddhahood in this lifetime. Master Kukai, founder of Shingon Buddhism in Japan, quoted Nagarjuna's wisdom in the Treatise on the Bodhi Mind. Only in the mantra teachings does one become a Buddha in this very body. This shows how powerful is the practice of chanting a simple mantra. As such, chanting Nam-myoho Renge Kyo with the conviction of unleashing the power of the Buddha nature is indeed the way to attaining Buddhahood in this lifetime. Avatamsaka Sutra states, faith is the source and origin of all merits and virtues, like an embryo from which all the various roots of virtue grow. Faith is the root of virtue. Maintain your faith and attain Buddhahood in this lifetime. Nam-myoho Renge Kyo, Nam-myoho Renge Kyo. Let's wrap up our learning of this Gosho with 3 key points. Number 1, Nam-myoho Renge Kyo is the Buddha nature. The Buddha reveals the wisdom of the one vehicle, which is the Buddha nature, in Chapter 2 of the Lotus Sutra. All living beings have the Buddha nature within, and all are capable of attaining Buddhahood. Number 2, the mantra practice to attain Buddhahood in this lifetime. Enlightenment is an experience to be embodied in our life, not a destination to be achieved. Hence, a powerful mantra of the Daimoku is the object of meditation that enables all of us to embody enlightenment in this very lifetime. Number 3, faith is the key to unleash our greatest potential. The core of Buddhism is the cultivation of the mind. Nichiren teaches the importance of faith in chanting Nam-myoho Renge Kyo so as to unleash the power of our Buddha nature to create values for humanity. Before we end the session, let's have a short quiz. Question 1. Nichiren was a Tendai monk before establishing his own school. True or false? The answer is true. Nichiren was a Tendai monk and his teacher was Master Saicho, the founder of Tendai Buddhism in Japan. Question 2. The Lotus Sutra is the king of all sutras. True or false? The answer is true. The Lotus Sutra, Chapter 23 states, among all Shravakas and Prayika Buddhas, Bodhisattvas are the foremost. So is the Lotus Sutra, among all sutras, it is the foremost. Just as the Buddha is the Dharma king, so is the Lotus Sutra, it is the king of all sutras. Question 3, original enlightenment is linked to the concept of the Buddha nature. True or false? The answer is true. Hongaku means original enlightenment. It means the intrinsic, inherent, or innate Buddhahood is already hidden within us. Chanting Nam-myoho Renge Kyo is an expression of deep faith in our Buddha nature to attain enlightenment, just as we are, in this human body. We have come to an end to learn about Nichiren's Goshho, on attaining Buddhahood in this lifetime. Thank you for listening and I hope you enjoy this video. Do subscribe to Lotus Happiness to learn more about the Buddha's teachings. See you next time.
The awakening mind is your true nature. Subscribe to Lotus Happiness to unleash the greatest potential within you.